What's going on, everybody? It's Bears Over Beers. I'm trying to sound as excited as I can while, kind of dying slightly from pneumonia and also dying from having to watch the Chicago Bears, on a regular basis. We'll get to that later. But I'm joined today. I'm Khari Thompson. I'm joined today by Jacob Infante. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing as wonderful as you can for a guy whose body feels like garbage, and for
It's that time of year.
a guy whose football team is 4-10. So I'm doing okay, all things considered. It could
It's
be
like, oh,
worse.
that's all it is, just 4 and 10. Which, by the way, thank you all for tuning in so far. Leah, we got some eyes on us today. Everybody wants to commiserate.
Mm,
I mean, honestly, like it's like a support group. We're here for you. You know what I mean? During this really
yeah.
trying time of watching a bad football team again, right? I mean, obviously this isn't anything new for us, but I'm also in the unique position of being able to watch two bad football teams at once,
No.
because I also pay attention to and cover, kind of on a more limited basis, the New England Patriots. So that's wonderful. One 3-11 team and one 4-10 team. Good stuff. But okay, been
Football.
been over here yapping, trying to avoid having to actually dig into our feelings here. But you know what? Let's get into it. What are you drinking tonight?
Okay, so this is extremely basic. I say this as someone who I've been trying to go on a diet of sorts. I mean, it's not great, what's whatever. But I had a big lunch for work that I had to go to. So I'm going light. Just a simple, basic ass Michelob Ultra. So nothing fancy tonight. Hoping next time we do one of these, I'll get back on the get back on the train of something a little more high class, a little more refined. But I mean, as far as like the typical international like light beers, I feel like Mick Ultra is my favorite. I've been a Miller Lite a Miller Lite guy this entire time.
Gotcha.
Still got love for Miller Lite, but man, I don't know. I think Mick
Sometimes
Ultra
you gotta
Mick
switch
Ultra's
it up.
making yeah, it's making a rise up my board for sure. It might be number one, but yeah, if yours is a little more interesting, then obviously excited to hear what that is.
It is because I tend to be very eccentric with the beer that I drink. This one is actually a gift from a friend of mine who's from Wisconsin, dreaded Packers fan, but a
Oh,
good guy. Look, he's a good guy.
yeah.
I can't hate him that much. He's actually the most reasonable Packers fan that I know, and the only one that I'm friends with. So there you go. But I have a chocolate chip coffee cake stout from,
Oof.
what even is this? Where's this from? Treehouse Brew. All right. It's an 8.2, so it's like kind of right in that sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
I'm a big stout guy. I like things pretty heavy. And I
Mm.
also love anything that is like chocolate coffee flavor. I'm all in. So let's go ahead and give this one a crack open. Normally, I would go ahead and put this in a glass, but because I was just coming from the bedside of my extremely ornery child, I did not have time to to get that going. By the way, I first I've heard of this rumor. You're going to be the next GM of the Chicago Bears.
Uh, well, I mean, we've been trying to keep it under wraps. I know, the real Jack Sanborn has been,
Mm,
providing some. I guess there's a leak in Hallis Hall, and it's Jack Sanborn. But
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I guess I'll be, I guess the cat's out of the bag now. I'm just gonna be using mock draft machines the entire time, and
There we go. Yeah.
just sitting in uh, over the cap the entire time, calculating away. But yeah,
I'm a little disappointed that I'm only just hearing about this now. I totally would have been like, like your scouting director or something. But now, I mean, I can only conclude that you've got a bigger and better people in mind. So
Oh, come on. Oh,
fine.
Hey,
whatever, man.
Hey, they just gave me the job like 10 minutes ago. So this is something that's why we were a little bit late. We're supposed to start at 8. I was wrapping up a call with Kevin Warren. He told me that Ryan Poles is going to be fired and I'm going to replace him because they wanted just a low life incel fat loser to be the GM. So that's why he gave me a call. That's the first one he thought of. So I don't know.
Has there ever been a winning GM who isn't those things? I mean, like,
exactly.
Think about it.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, okay, like on a slightly quite tangential note, it's funny, right? So Bill Belichick, right? So he was the head coach and GM of the Patriots, just ran the whole organization. Now he's going down to college to be the head coach / just general football czar over at University of North Carolina. And I think it's funny, right, that everybody's like, well, he's 72 years old, and is he really going to be up for all this work and stuff? And it's like, he likes that. He has no life. This man has been doing nothing but football and cheating and being for the streets for the last 50 years. Like, come on, bro. Like that is literally his life, being messy and coaching football. So I think it's like, to an extent, you just have to just be all about ball, right?
Yeah.
It would be great if the Chicago Bears could be more about ball in a positive way. Speaking of which, how about we take a minute and do a quick post-mortem on the Minnesota Vikings loss, which was, what are we at now? Is that the
I think
8th loss in a row?
8 in a row.
Oh, is it 8?
8 in a row. Yep. I just checked Tankathon. That's the first thing that pops up.
It's 4 and 10. It's 4 and 10. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. 8 in a row. There we go. So 8th loss in a row. I unfortunately, I was on with Mason West last week on Bare Bones. My bold prediction for the week was, that great offensive performance you had against the Vikings where Caleb went off for like 340 yards or whatever. It's like, it's not happening this week. It's going to be ugly because it's on the road, and they've had a second time to look at you and what you do. And also, it's another week of Thomas Brown having to control everything and not just focus on the offense. And it was not ideal. Then again, it's not necessarily – look, you could talk about game plans all you want, but when your left tackle is just unplayable, but you have to play him because you have no other options, I mean, that's the kind of stuff you get. That from Khari Namagaji might have been the worst debut I've ever seen for a tackle.
So when it comes to Khari, I'm kind of treading lightly because I've maintained it's like, okay, coming out of Yale, like he was raw to begin with, I'd say. Watching him on tape, the hand usage, like there are flashes, but it was never really consistent in terms of like the timing and the placement and everything. Spatial awareness was not all that great. What I think what got him drafted that high is the length, how long his arms are, how athletic he is, and the temperament that he played with against inferior competition. I think that you look at that, it's like, okay, this is a long-term pick. This is a guy who's clearly a developmental guy. He's not ready to start year one. And I think this Vikings game, backed up that claim. He simply isn't ready. And then when you consider the fact that he had a serious knee injury last year that forced him, he didn't even start practicing until the season started. I think that's pretty detrimental to, getting a raw talent, the reps that he needs to succeed. So I think that, it wasn't pretty. I don't think anyone should have expected it to be. It was a bloodbath. The penalties were everywhere. He was just getting beat, like his footwork, like he's clearly athletic, but the footwork, he just, doesn't really know. It's not second nature to him yet. So
there was one particularly ugly hit that he gave up where I wonder about his health, because it seems like he's healthy and athletic and decent enough to play, but I just kind of wonder if he was trying to trying to ride his guy outside and he just couldn't do it for some reason. Like maybe his body just didn't respond the way he wanted to. Maybe the move was too quick for him, but it seemed like he was in position and then he just wasn't. And then he didn't throw his hands at all. He just kind of let the guy stroll around the edge and go kill Caleb Williams. And you're thinking to yourself, like, that's not a competitive NFL rep. No. Like that's not acceptable. And again, he's a rookie. You understand there are going to be mistakes that come with that, as with just about any position. But some of those reps were just unplayable. And yet, again, because of injury, because of kind of also where you are in the standings at this point, you want to start seeing what you have in certain guys. So you're going to play him. And it was ugly. And like you said, right, he's just starting out here. And I think that if he gets a full training camp under his belt, next year, and maybe you start seeing some leaps, and you just got to kind of get him out there and let him fail or succeed or what have you, and just get the live game reps and see what it's like when the live bullets are flying. Maybe you just have to have that. But I'll tell you what, that was a terrible first impression. And I guess like there's that part, and there's also the part that as bad as the offensive line is, there are plenty of plays where Caleb Williams has time and he's just not seeing the field right now. And that's bothering the hell out of me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with you there. I think that I don't think Caleb's been terrible. I think, judging by the way you've seen the way the national media has, been digging into Caleb Williams, you could have sworn like he had, no touchdowns and 3 picks. Like he was putting up like prime Nathan Peterman numbers or something like that. Like I don't know. I think the outrage is way out of proportion. I don't think he's free of criticism by any means. Mm-hmm. I think, and what you said, he's just not seeing the field properly. And I think part of that comes down to, I don't know, panic whenever he's under pressure. Like he can only do so much, I think, when, he's under pressure, and maybe it's starting to get to him. Like I don't see necessarily some of the same poise that we saw out of him earlier on in the season that we saw out of him at USC. I think him getting hit, there's like an urgency of, oh shoot, I have to try and get this ball away. I mean, because when you get hit so many times, like it's like, hey, I don't want to get hit anymore. But even then, that's affecting his accuracy. That's affecting his decision making to the point where, yes, I mean, he hasn't had an interception in well over a month now at this point.
Yep.
But
he has not thrown an interception in any one of these last 8 losses.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, that aspect is genuinely impressive. But I would say part of it is I'd almost rather start him getting a little more aggressive with some of these decisions, and maybe end up making a couple interceptions in the process rather than not having any interceptions and just flat out missing guys. I think part of it is he's a little too timid at this stage.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's something that can be coached up. That's something that, one with a better offensive line next year, hopefully. I feel like we say that every year, but with a better offensive line, in theory, that should be coachable. With a better offensive coaching staff, in theory, should be coachable. I'll believe it when I see it. Obviously, I mean, the Bears have made bad coaching hire after bad coaching hire and just ignored the offensive line position. But no, I think that there's definitely room to improve with Caleb. Not to hate on him, say he's a bust or anything, or some of the stupid garbage about, you thought this guy who paints his nails and has a pink phone case.
Don't start. You're gonna piss me off.
No, dude.
Because I mean, like I'm out here and I got Boston fans saying the same thing, like, oh, they picked the nail painting guy over Drake
Yeah.
May. It's like, what does that have to do with anything?
It's so
Right?
stupid. It's literally out of all the things to criticize someone for, like, who
He
cares?
could cross dress. I don't
Yeah.
care. Can he play ball?
Exactly. And it's like, I don't know. That's such a mundane thing to pick apart. I truly don't care what he has on his fingernails. I don't care what he wears. I care literally only about what he does on the field. And I mean, as long as he's not going out, getting arrested, causing trouble, which he isn't. I don't care what you do off the field. I literally don't care. Just play good football. And I think there are things to criticize Caleb for that are valid and that are reasonable. I don't think that's one of them. It's just such a stupid talking point. I want him to be good, like not even just because of the fact that he's the Bears quarterback. I want him to be good just to shut up those people who are hating on him for that, because it's such a dumb thing to be worked up about. And if you're so threatened about a dude wearing nail polish, like you clearly need to reevaluate things. Like you need to get yourself checked, because who cares?
It's a 10,000% that's a you problem thing. And Jacob Akins, who asked, y'all read the comments? Yes, we do read the comments. And I wanted to throw this one up where he makes the point that I think a lot of us have kind of wondered about with, especially this coaching staff. I strongly believe that Matt Eberflus wanted him to control the ball, not turn it over. Back at UNC, he was a gunslinger. Preseason to now, he became safe. Literally the same stuff that we were saying with the previous quarterback that was here, where I think we thought the aggressiveness and the playmaking was sort of being coached out of him to an extent. And that, to me, definitely reeks of defensive coordinator, defensive-minded head coach guy. Now, not all of them are like that. I do want to be clear about that, right? This might not necessarily be the best example because we throw around Dan Campbell a lot, right? He was a defensive coach, but he played offense when he played. So there is kind of that part. But he will risk anything at any time. Sean McDermott is a defensive-minded head coach. He's been a defensive coordinator for a long time. He'll risk anything at any time with Josh Allen. There are defensive-minded, special teams-minded coaches. It's not just like, oh, yeah, only offensive coaches like to go for it. Riverboat Ron got his reputation for, going for it all the time, right? But it's just, if you trust your offense, you go for it and you coach guys to be who they are. And I just feel like it's been pretty clear that Matt Eberflus and the staff that he has put together throughout all this time has really been like, don't screw it up, right? Don't screw it up. The defense will win us the game. We'll play ball control. We'll run the ball. We'll kick a bunch of field goals. Scoring touchdowns is great, but as long as we stop the other team from scoring, we're fine. And it's like you have a young quarterback who, yes, he's young. He's a rookie, seeing a lot of this stuff for the first time, but he's wildly talented. And they haven't gotten nearly enough out of him. And that is really, really frustrating to me. And I think the other part that is irritating when it comes to watching Caleb Williams play is that it's not just the missing guys, right? It's this weird kind of hybrid thing he's got going on where it's like, okay, I didn't see it. I'm holding the ball and I'm taking a sack. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to hold the ball and I'm going to run around and I'm going to hurdle imaginary defenders and I'm going to run around in circles and I'm going to take a huge hit that I don't need to take, right? And that's also bad. Yes, we want him to be outside the pocket and creating and doing the kind of things that he does really well. But there's just certain times it's just take the easy stuff. But the problem is there are no easy buttons in this offense. There's nothing easy. Everything is hard. Why does everything have to be so hard? Why, Ben Johnson, why everybody wants him? right? It's not just the trick plays and the explosive offense. Everything's easy for them, right? Sean McVay offense and Kyle Shanahan offense, all that stuff. They create easy opportunities for their quarterbacks, and they make mediocre ass quarterbacks look good and great quarterbacks look elite.
Yeah.
Why can't we have that?
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Exercise the demon right there.
God. I mean, yeah, we all need to go through that. That's breathe a little bit. But no, like you're right though. I mean, you're looking at this, the offense in itself. I feel like everything's so convoluted, and I don't know if that comes down to the coaching staff doesn't know how to explain. Okay, this is why we're running this route against this coverage. This is why we're running up this gap against this front. Whatever it might be, I feel like there's very little rhyme or reason to what the Bears are doing. And I don't know, it's frustrating to me because you're looking at, all right, you're not attacking the middle of the field with Cole Kmet. That's something you're not doing. He's very good at it. He's proven to be a reliable pass catcher. They're not doing it. They're not using tight ends, Kmet or Mercedes Lewis or Gerald Everett, whatever. You have a raw third-round rookie from the FCS level who didn't practice at all in training camp, and you're leaving him out on an island against Jonathan Grenard, who's one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. And it's like, oh yeah, no, he's fine. He's got him one-on-one. We don't have to worry about anything. It's that makes sense. It's like, I don't know. They're just some of the usage of personnel and some of the play concepts. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, I think part of it is, well, maybe Thomas Brown is better, in the booth than he is on the sidelines. But if people are touting him as, hey, this is a guy who could eventually maybe be a head coach in the NFL someday, he's going to need to learn how to coach on the sidelines and how to be a good play caller, unless you're like one of the CEO types where you delegate your play calling to your OC. It's just, I don't know. There's so much wrong, regardless of who's the head coach in title, regardless of who they're playing. It's just the offense, like you said, it's so difficult. And it really, I don't want to say football is easy because it's not, but I feel like so many times teams make it way harder than it has to be. And that's something that the Bears do extremely well, is just make things needlessly so difficult for themselves when an easy solution is just staring them right in the face.
Charter franchise of effing up, as I like to say. All right, let's take a little break and hear about our sponsor for this episode. First of all, thank you all so much for tuning in. We got a ton of people up in here. 775 people up in here. Let's go. Okay, now you're going to have to listen to me butcher this ad read real bad. I apologize for y'all. Haven't done this one in a little while. But Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. I use Underdog relatively frequently. I'm terrible at betting. I really should put more effort into it. But the cool thing is I always go with 6 to 8 selections. So you know what? Even if I miss on 2, still get a little bit of money. So you know what? As long as I get that little win, and keep that encouragement up, I keep on playing. Underdog is really great in terms of that, because I feel like other places, like, you miss one thing by 0.1 yards or whatever it is, and you lose and you feel terrible. It's like Underdog's like, you know what? If you play our game and you make all those picks, we'll make sure you leave with something. And as Denzel Washington would say, I'm leaving here with something. I will. All right. So listen, as we mentioned, right, the higher or lower thing. So, let's say I think Caleb Williams going to hit, 200 and 30 yards in his next game against the Detroit Lions, I think I could see that. Then all you have to do is hit higher or lower. Really simple. And you know what? Cook up some of your other entries. DeAndre Swift was out there running really well. Maybe you want to try him for a rushing touchdown or, over 70 yards rushing, whatever it happens to be. Another cool thing, vulture protection. One thing you might not have to worry about as much with the Chicago Bears because they've been kind of one-sided with the running back usage lately. But listen, if you have a suspicion, say that the Bears are going to get down the red zone and they're going to roll with like Roshan Johnson instead of DeAndre Swift, you can select them as a designated running back, score a touchdown in your pick'em entry. And look, if Swift gets vultured, you get your entry rescued. So you know what? You don't lose. I love that about them. Making sure that they're taking care of the people. They know the pain that we go through with all of this. Now, make sure you download the app today and use the code CITY to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Remember, download the app today and use the code CITY to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. You must be 18 years or older, 19 years or older in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 or older in California for some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts, that's where I'm at, and 21 or older in Arizona. Make sure you're present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Make sure if you're concerned with your play, you call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, my man. Now that we've put that away and we've kind of talked through the Caleb Williams of it all, and we've kind of talked through the Bears. Look, they're 4-10. We're disappointed.
Yeah,
we're pissed. Everybody in the comments, look. I mean, we've seen this, theme throughout the chat. I totally feel you. Where it's like, I'm tired of getting my hopes up for a team that continuously ruins everything. Right? I look like a fool. They got me out here looking like an absolute fool, talking about, yeah, man, now they got Caleb Williams and look at the situation they're putting him in. I don't know, man. This might be like a 9-8 team that might get in the playoffs. 4-10. Never believing in them again. Can't do it. You're playing me like boo-boo the fool out here. Even if they go ahead and they get Ben Johnson, it would be like 6 wins. Prove it different.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I mean, like, shoot, you got to protect yourself, honestly. Like, it's at a certain point, I feel like everyone, Bears fans, like, we're higher on our favorite team than probably the consensus. But time and time again, it just, all right, something's going to go wrong. As long as George McCaskey's in charge, that's what it seems like. And it's not to put everything on him, but like, I'm not going to believe it until I see it anymore, because I'm not going to sit here and get my hopes up where even if they improve the offensive line, it's like, oh, something's going to go wrong, because it always has. And I remember this year, like, what you were saying earlier, it's like, oh man, we got Caleb Williams now. Our receivers are looking really nice. Shane Waldron's going to be great for the offense. No, Shane Waldron is just donkey.
Horrible.
And
oh my God. Like, yeah. But that's the thing, right? It's not even just that they didn't, meet our expectations. It's that they so catastrophically failed at expectations that, like, you're just left like, oh, well, of course. And yeah. It's funny, right? It's like something's always going to go wrong. They're literally the anti-Kansas City Chiefs. I sat up there watching that field goal they doinked in 2 weeks ago. Now I'm like, well, of course, Matt Nagy gets the benefit of the bounce now.
Yeah.
Right. But because, when he was the Chicago Bears head coach, is because he was the Chicago Bears head coach.
Of course.
Right. And then the funny thing is, right, like, think about that as much as we complained about Nagy, he was clearly the best coach, like by a million.
Oh, Lord.
By a million of any of the post-Lovie Smith coaches.
Which it sucks to say, but it's so true. Like, Fox, he set the culture, didn't win shit. I don't know if I hope this doesn't.
Yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed.
All right, we're good. Okay. Shit.
Anyway, you did it, so I
There
don't
you
care.
I did it, so it is what it is. If not, then Leicester's
I've gone all in on here once or twice, but I try not to do it.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely so like exactly right. So they had Trestman, and they were like, yeah, we need that offensive minded coach to go ahead and bring us into the new era, right?
Yeah.
And the offense was good. Everything else sucked. Everything else was catastrophically bad. And then you get Trestman fired, and then it's like, okay, we need John Fox to bring that old school, old timey mentality and locker room culture, and great. And yeah, that was cool, but what would they win, like 19 games the entire time he was here? I don't even know. They were terrible.
I don't even think it was that, honestly, because he was for what?
I'm about to see this now.
I think that was 3 years. I think that was 3 years he was there. And
yeah,
also,
that was only 14 wins.
oh, that's less than 5 a year. That's dude.
It was literally 6, 3, and 5.
Oh my god.
That's impressively bad.
Yeah.
And then you get done with that. You get Matt Nagy, great first, got it carried off that first year. But I mean, did they have a losing season? Was that last year a losing year? Was that 8 and 9?
No, I think the last year was a losing year for sure.
So the last year was definitely a losing season. Yeah, that was the Justin Fields rookie year. But the other ones were like 500.
Yeah. I mean, I'd take that in a heartbeat now. Which sounds crazy to say. It sounds crazy to say, like, knowing how we all felt with Nagy. It's like, oh, this team's underperforming so bad. And I think part of it was, I mean, we can do revision history all night long, but I think part of it was such an unsustainable defensive pace. Like, of course, you're not going to be getting like 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions every single game, getting a defensive touchdown every other week.
36 takeaways.
Yeah.
In that season, I mean, clearly led the NFL. And again, it was never going to be something you're going to duplicate. I liked to call those kinds of defenses, and it could have been, if they had gotten past that wild card round, I think it might have been possible. I used to call those like once a 15 years defense, like going back to like literally like the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
And then the 2000 Ravens
and
the 2015 Broncos, like a 15-year period where you had a defense that was so good that you didn't even need to play offense because they were just going to humiliate and take the ball away from you. And obviously, it wasn't 15 years between that 2015 year and the 2018. So clearly the prophecy, could not be fulfilled.
Yeah.
It won't be fulfilled again until 2030. But I think like that was the kind of year that you can't have that stuff. Like you can't rely on that.
No.
One year worth of variance is incredible, but then you better win. You better take advantage of that. And the Bears didn't have good enough quarterback play to make that happen. And the thing is like, this is the frustrating part. They don't have good enough quarterback play to, win playoff games like that right now. But Caleb Williams, in theory, he's going to be that guy. Caleb Williams will win a playoff game at some point. He will.
Yeah.
I feel pretty confident in saying that he's going to win a playoff game. But what is happening around him right now, what is being built around him, is just not what we were promised. And I think that's the part that is really frustrating, because we were led to believe that it was going to be this, different situation for a young quarterback. It was going to be a better foundation than anything that we had seen really from, any number one pick that we can think of. And it ended up being literally just as bad, if not, on the lower end of things. Real quick, I want to bring this up. There are a couple of comments in here that kind of stood out to me. If Trestman had the right defensive coordinator, it wouldn't have been that bad. It wouldn't have been that bad, but I think that Mark Trestman as a head coach and leader also just wasn't good.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even just as simple as offense, defense, and balance. It was also the fact that he lost that locker room because nobody was trying to hear what that dude was talking about. And then I wish they would have given Nagy another year with Fields. Yeah, but the thing is, like, I feel like that's just a process thing. It's not even just about like, you know, Fields should still be here or like Trubisky should still be here or what have you. I'm just tired of drafting a rookie quarterback and then be like, oh, we're changing the offense on you in year 2. And I also happen to think, and I think the film backs it up, that Matt Nagy had Justin Fields playing as close to a regular NFL quarterback than anybody has gotten out of Justin Fields until Arthur Smith this year. Like, nothing that was going on in that second or third year with him. And I think we know now, right? Because, I mean, obviously Flus is gone and Luke Getsy couldn't even keep a job for half a season with another team.
Yeah.
We know that the coaching was getting sucked. But again, I think it's also just this matter of it's about the process, the way that the Bears go about it. Not even just so much like a Fields versus, Williams or what have you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And it's so frustrating because I feel like anyone could have seen this coming from a mile away last year. I mean, maybe not this exact season. I don't think anyone expected that the Bears would be 4-10 at this point. I mean, nobody that I've talked with thought that anyway. But at least going into this season. But this time last year, we're starting to think, okay, are the Bears going to move on from Matt Eberflus? You've seen 2 seasons of him now, and you knew like what you had in him. You knew that there are several blown leads, several fourth quarter, falling apart. And I think they got fooled into, they won a couple of games down the stretch against some bad teams, and it's like, oh, things are turning around now. Eberflus, I think, could be that guy. Turns out it was all just smoke and mirrors. But it's the same thing over and over again where it's like, okay, how many times are we going to draft a quarterback with a lame duck head coach, make them learn a new offense their rookie year while they're making the jump to the NFL, and then year 2 they fire the head coach, give them a new offense to work in? Like, just there needs to be some sort of continuity that just isn't there. They had a perfect opportunity last year. If they knew they were going to draft Caleb Williams, I think as soon as they had the number 1 pick, that was locked in, whether or not people like to admit it. They knew that was going to happen. They had a perfect opportunity to, align those 2 sides, and they didn't. So it's just frustrating to see. Again, it was all so preventable. And people could see it coming from a mile away, but Ryan Poles didn't. I don't know, maybe you could say Kevin Warren didn't. You could say George McCaskey did it. I don't know. But it's just the same mistakes over and over again. And, insanity is, doing the same thing and expecting different results or something like that. It's, I don't know. I butchered the wording. I'm not smart, but it's it's like, how did you not see this coming?
And I think that's the thing, right? Like, I found myself just thinking right now, well, we are insane because we're Chicago Bears fans and we continue to go into every year thinking, oh, maybe this year they'll be good. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Actually, we're insane. We're also bad. When you think about, but I mean, I think that's the thing, right? There's just this blind hope. And it gives you no faith to think that, like, if it doesn't work out with Caleb Williams, that they're not just going to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Right. They'll draft another rookie quarterback. They're not going to line it up. They're going to, wait 1 year too. You're going to wait a year too long. I mean, honestly, this was all ordained the moment that they decided not to fire Matt Eberflus. It was written in, we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
but apparently they didn't, and that sucks because they really should at this point. Okay, so moving on to this next week's game. Can the Chicago Bears avoid a season sweep by the Detroit Lions, or at the hands of the Detroit Lions? The one thing that's working in the Bears' favor right now is that the Lions are getting absolutely destroyed by injuries. Just it's honestly it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aleem McNeil, their standout defensive tackle, tears his ACL. He's out for the year. Carlton Davis, their corners. I think he had like a like a chest or upper body injury of some kind. He's out. He won't be playing this week. And David Montgomery apparently tore his MCL, which really just that's hard. That's hard to watch because you just love watching the guy play, even if you're thinking to yourself like, why is he still getting carries? That many carries over. Oh my God, why is this? Why is this? Jahmyr Gibbs. I was over here thinking Alvin Kamara because I used to call him Baby Kamara all the time. It's like, but that's not him. I'm literally just like Jahmyr Kamara. No, not his name.
Yeah, they're running backs from the same tree, and then somewhere like off over to the next branch, you'll find Ashton Genty. But that's another discussion for another time. But
Ashton Genty. Okay, but we'll do that another time. We won't do it now. But I think while everybody's like, why is he not getting more, like, why is you getting all these carries over Jahmyr Gibbs, right? He's just such a good guy. He's tough. He's a consummate teammate. He'll play through anything. So that if he's not playing this week, which he won't be playing this week, obviously, it's bad when David Montgomery can't give it a go. He's trying to give it like a third opinion to see if he could possibly still play, which again, he's insane. But he will not be playing this week. And then you run down the injury report aside from Montgomery, who's not been put on IR just yet. Brian Branch did not practice on Wednesday with a calf injury. Graham Glasnow, offensive line, did not practice with a knee injury. And then you had a bunch of guys out for rest. So don't get too crazy about the DNPs on the injury report. But I mean, still, Brian Branch not practicing due to a calf, something to monitor. I would think that unless it's really bad, he's going to play. But this is going to be a shorthanded Lions team relative to what the Bears win against just a couple of weeks ago. And think to yourself, maybe you can jump them at home. Maybe it's possible. I mean, they did it last year. They ambushed the Lions at home after almost getting them at Ford Field, pulled out a win last year. And then the year before was another close game at Soldier Field. That was the another one of those 4 touchdown games from Fields, or 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, but the defense literally didn't stop anyone. This time around, I mean, this is clearly a superior Lions team, even with the injuries. And I feel like you can't even look at it on paper at this point because, you throw out the records, to an extent because it's a division matchup and weird things happen in division matchups. But this is also just a beaten down Bears team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the vibes are bad. They suck. Real bad. And like there's still this fear of like, Caleb's, might still be out there seeing ghosts and, again, trying to like hurdle imaginary defenders or, throw, on the run to guys who aren't there, or like something dumb's going to happen. Like Roma Dunze is going to be wide open and alligator arm a ball right to him. Uncontested. Dog, what are you doing? First of all, your ass didn't need to jump for that ball. Second of all, what are you doing with your hands? It's coming right to you.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And like I get it. Like, it's rookie mistakes, but still, like if you're taking a receiver in the top 10, you expect a little bit more. I don't know.
Give me Malik Neighbors, give me something something regarding that? We thought this was going to be like the most polished dude, like the best route runner right off the bat, and you're thinking, oh yeah, as a number 3 target, he's gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll become a number 2 target by the end of the year. And you've seen little flashes of it here and there, and bits of their kind of budding relationship between Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze, but it's just not consistent at all, man. Oh,
I agree. And it's I don't know. I think part of it is like he'd be heavier targeted if Keenan Allen weren't there in the mix. Him
also
catch
the ball, Keenan.
Yeah, and like him also being inconsistent. Like, I mean, clearly he still knows how to get open. He still has that elite football IQ. He can still, catch in contested situations. He also runs like a 5-second 40-yard dash at this stage in his career.
I'm literally, I think that if you line me and Keenan Allen up in a 40-yard dash, I'm beating him. I'm serious. I'm not slow. I could break a 5. Yeah. So no, I think I might be getting Keenan Allen at this point in his career. And then also just there's the fact that they just don't throw the ball to Cole Kmet anymore. Also, I think they just decided that all DJ Moore is going to do now is run screens. Like we're just not going to throw the ball down the field to him at all now.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. Huh.
Like at all.
How's that going?
Yeah, not well. And like, look, I mean, I feel like I get to an extent. He's really good with the ball in his hands. He's a very talented yak guy, but that doesn't just have to be screens. There are other like short breaking routes, that you can give him the opportunity to,
slants
get
are
the ball in space. Yeah, slants would be just fine. Designate, execute rub routes against, man coverage. There are, different ways to get guys involved. I thought it was interesting they had DJ Moore out of the backfield for a little bit in that last game against the Vikings. I wouldn't have done it, but I didn't hate it at the same time. It was like, oh, that was interesting. But
yeah, I don't know. And I think the part with that is I get it. You want to get the ball in your playmaker's hands immediately and see what they can do with it. But kind of by definition, when you throw a guy the ball within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, kind of makes it harder because you got to go through all these dudes. Everyone is converging on you. If you get them the ball a little bit further down the field and a little bit more space, and they have fewer people to dodge on the way to the end zone. They have fewer tackles to break. But it's just like they're creating so much work for that dude to create yak. And good disciplined defenses gang tackle, right? They're not going to mess around. They're going to do what you should be doing. You know what I mean? They're going to be jumping you and swarming the ball and trying to get the ball out, right? And I think it's just this Bears offense on paper. Oh God, like to not go down the path again. I'll put it as simply as I can, and we'll move on. This offense is so much less threatening than we thought it was going to be. Like we thought it was going to be mismatches all over the place, and what we got is a complete paper tiger, or rather a bear cub.
Yeah, there you go. Play off of it. But no, it's it's disappointing too, because I know everyone was so excited about the three-headed monster the Bears have at receiver. I myself included, I'm like, okay, it's the Texans and the Bears. Those are the two best wide receiver trios in the NFL right now. And I mean, the Texans have been ravaged by injuries in that receiver room, but like also the Bears just aren't getting the most out of their guys. And I feel like some of it comes down to, I can talk myself in circles about how the concepts lack reason. There's no like succession plan for, okay, we're going to run this because it makes sense against this coverage. Then we're going to follow it up with, this to, lighten the load for our, passing attack or whatever. I don't know. It's just, I can't look at it and say, yeah, there's a formidable plan here. Like they've clearly thought this out and it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing because they have talent on that offense, but they're not at all maximizing it.
Yeah. And that is, well, an unfortunate microcosm of where the Chicago Bears are, where they have been for the last decade or so. The
Yeah.
inability to maximize the talent that you do have, as Nicholas Selvey in the chat says,
No.
coaching matters. And hopefully the next coaching staff that the Chicago Bears have find a way to look at the roster that they have and be like, oh, you're good at this, then we are going to find ways to get you to do that as often as possible. And then if you do that with enough of the players, then maybe the team will be good. I don't know. But you know what? As we talked about, not going to get our hopes up for that.
No.
We got to see who it is. Like I said, even if it's Ben Johnson, still not getting my hopes up.
Yeah.
I'm setting the benchmark for you at 6 or 7 wins. And if you surpass that, then we're cooking. Then we feel good. And then I feel like we're going somewhere. But other than that, nope, not doing it. Any final thoughts before we get the hell up out of here, bro?
I think to that point, it makes a lot of sense for Bears. Let's just get our hopes down. Let's just not get excited because literally
reverse psychology.
Yeah, literally the only time in the last decade that the Bears have been great, nobody saw it coming into the year.
Honestly,
it was that 2018 team. You know, they had clearly they spent a decent amount of money in free agency. They traded for Khalil Mack, got Roquan Smith, but from a record perspective, they made such a huge jump in wins. No one saw that extreme of a jump coming. And no one saw that extreme of a jump from the defense coming. It went from a good group under John Fox to elite in that 2018 season, still having Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator both ways. And then every other year, it's been like, oh, shoot, I think the Bears are going to make the playoffs this year, or the Bears could I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but they'll push for a wild card spot, and they just don't. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm glad that we're both doing this now. It seems like, okay, even if they get Ben Johnson, Trey Smith, Drew Dalman, and like Abdul Carter or something like that, I'm going to be like, I'll believe it when I see it. 7-10.
Exactly. You know what? This is it. The Bears are going to suck. That's right. They're going to be terrible. And then that means as long as we keep that energy and we expect absolutely nothing from them, then they can't underwhelm us, right?
Exactly.
Right?
we're gonna start saying we're gonna say 7-10, and then they're gonna not win a game all year. Something like that.
They're gonna be the first team ever to go 0-17.
It's oh Lord. Knowing our luck, knowing the luck of Bears fans, I can't rule it out. I can't say with a 100% uncertainty, with 100% certainty that's not gonna happen. Which sucks, but whatever.
All right. Well, on that note, I gotta log off because I'm getting through some pneumonia right now.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make me over here start coughing and dying on air because I'm laughing. We're gonna go ahead and jump off of this. Before we do, thank you all so much for checking in with Bears Over Beers. I see 1,300 people up in here watching this. Holy crap!
That's crazy.
For all of y'all that are in here, even if you're fake, even if it's like y'all just some bots or whatever that Zuckerberg threw in to make us feel better, or maybe Elon's got a hold of Facebook too. He's out there just pumping us full of porn bots or whatever. Thank you all so much for jumping on stream with us. And looking forward to hanging out with y'all later in the season. And you know what? Keep your hopes low, Bears fans, and you can't be disappointed. Remember that. Also, feel free to take time to just watch better football than this. Also, since I won't be seeing any of you before this, have a Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy your time with your families, your kids, just everybody out there, man. Enjoy yourselves, and look forward to hooking back up with y'all another time. And for you, Jacob, Always happy to do this with you.
Of course, it's always a pleasure hopping on with you and, chatting it up, commiserating together. So it's, always a blast. So I appreciate, you being here. I appreciate all the listeners being here. I mean, it's fun to talk. Even when the Bears suck ass, it's still fun to talk about the Bears. So I won't take it for granted. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate all y'all out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, that moment of catharsis that I had, like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, like, that's what it's all about,
Yeah,
right? That moment when the demon just feels like it's been exorcised, it's out of you. Now it's like all positive energy from here on. All right.
exactly.
Peace out, y'all.